I look like a gardener to you? I am a better, I am not a gardener. Hedging is for gardens. How does your garden grow?
With plus money.
With plus money. Hedging is for gardens.
Welcome aboard, everyone, to Betting Weekly Live. It is Wednesday, the 7th of May, with Steve Wyss and Nigel Seeley, and quite an apt intro tune there. We were talking a lot about hedging yesterday, Nigel, specifically on PSG. I wonder how many out there with those big dollar tickets on the Parisians might be tempted to hedge now. I hope you're doing really well.
I'm very well. I thought you were going to turn around and say about our tip. You know, everyone's talking about Paris, but we seem to have forgotten about myself and you being on the Inter Milan train at the very start of the tournament at 25-1. I know Paul Laguna, who is a regular contributor here on the show, was on at 25-1. He believed in us. Will White and all those others come on there and said, no, they wouldn't be doing it. But we stuck by our guns, didn't we, Steve? We said that they were the bet at 25-1. It was easy money last night, wasn't it? There was not one moment that you never thought that we weren't going to get to the final. But I thought you were going to mention that, but no.
You know what? I've not even thought about hedging on Inter. I don't know why. It's one of those. I've got each way money to the final, and it's one of those that I just feel that keep going with the ride sometimes. Yeah.
I mean, let's not go into this hedging debate kind of thing again. But you've already cashed at 12.5-1. If you bet them at 25-1, you've got a 12.5-1 winner. You've got a 12.5-1 about them winning a tournament that they are going to be, depending who they play in the final. Obviously, if they play Arsenal, they could be a slight underdog. If they Paris Saint-Germain, they're going to be a bigger underdog, I would have thought. But, you've got 12.5-1 about them winning it. And the way they're playing at the moment, their name could be on that famous cup, couldn't it? I mean, no, you're not going to hedge now. I think hedging is only about, honestly, truthfully, my hedging, if I've got a player who's in the final of a tennis tournament and he plays an Alcaraz or a Sinner, and I've bet him at 100-1 and he's in the final and he's 4-1 against, then I might perhaps hedge a bit. But you got 25-1 and you're in the final, it's going to be a pick and match. You'll be crazy to hedge. So, no, not for me.
Yeah, I mean, what a mental game that was last night. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It was absolutely bonkers. Just some significant wages from the soccer week so far. Of course, there was that $50,000 play which lost on Monday on Forest on the money line. Yesterday, the bettors have struck back to a degree. Looks like over 25,000 combined on basically backing the goals live. Nigel, over 5 Asian, over 3.5 total Asian. Inter Milan on the plus 0.25 Asian handicap. Only significant loser was a $7,000 play on Barca to go through. So I think it was probably quite a good night for the bettors, actually. And I've got to tip my hat to Will White on yesterday's live show. Several winners from Will, including that really great hit, plus 550 on the tie to be decided in extra time. One of the all-time classics, maybe the best ever two-leg tie in Champions League history, or one of them. I can hardly, I've only just about got my breath back, Nigel, from that.
Well, I think the thing is with sports, Steve, and I put a tweet out last night. There's people out there who don't like sport. Doesn't matter what it is, if it's tennis, if it's football, if it's rugby, if it's NFL, it's baseball. And every year you always say, I mean, I'll have a conversation with you probably next time this year and say, we've never seen a game like this, or we've never seen a match like this. And then the year later, we'll see again, we've never seen a match like this. This is incredible. The World Cup final, I've never seen anything like this in the extra time period of the World Cup final, where Martinez scores the goal and Mbappe goes down the other end. Sport changes and things happen, and it's an incredible thing to be involved in betting. So every time we say this is the best we've ever seen, it raises the bar for the next match and the next match. But, it was an insanely incredible tie. But, I can go back to the tie where Liverpool played Barcelona and they were 4-0 down in the first leg and they come back and won. We can remember the match where Manchester United won the competition famously against Bayern Munich, in Barcelona, with those 2 late goals. We said we'd never seen anything like this. We saw a Premier League title won with the last kick of the game. And we saw your team, Leeds, win the championship last week with a goal in the 94th minute. Sport does that to you. It doesn't matter what it is, tennis, football, golf, cricket. We saw Rory McIlroy come back from an incredible US Masters the other day. People said to me that was the best sport they've ever seen. What an industry we live in, and what a passion we have, and what a hobby that all these guys who watch the show talk about sport. Sports are ever changing, and I guarantee you, this time next year we'll have a conversation. Say, have you ever seen a game like that? It'll be another one. There'll be another one, 100%.
Yeah, let's hope it's for the right reasons. But welcoming everyone. Thanks for everyone who is commenting so far. Beggar's End, is that Nigel singing the intro today? Actually, it was Will White, I think, wasn't it?
But I will sing the intro if you want me to. I've got no problem with singing an intro for you, but I need to obviously prep it up a little bit. I want it in the style of Oasis, or a bit of style of the Jam, or a bit of style of Blur, a bit of Britpop. I'll do an intro for you.
Yeah, so I mean, I hope everyone did well last night. I mean, it sounds like there's some success stories, some sob stories. Peter Chalkins was on Barca to qualify live at 16-1. That was 2 minutes away from cashing. Just trying to get through as many comments as I can here. Real Brandon King, glad he tailed my newsletter pick. I'm glad that one. I mean, it looked dead, and then suddenly it won. So sometimes on the back of a really crazy game like that, the next match, which is tonight, second semi-final between Arsenal and PSG, maybe folk can get a little bit overboard, thinking the same might happen again. Maybe it will. Maybe it won't.
I'm not paying John overtime for that graphic. I mean, come on. We don't need the graphic to know that it's the winner of Arsenal. When it was like the last 16 and the group stage and all these kind of permutations, that was when he was putting the invoice in for the extra money. Now he's not getting an extra $10 for that. Come on, Arsenal, Paris Saint-Germain are paying the million. Come on, please.
And this is an even better graphic.
That's another $10.
The winner. PSG are the favourites to win it, even though they're not in the final yet. Now, what do you make of that? That is an interesting point, actually, Nigel. I actually thought Inter might be joint favourites with PSG at this point, but they're not.
Well, it just shows you that the market is, all the bettors and obviously the bookmakers really rate this Paris Saint-Germain side very, very highly. And they believe that when they go into the final against Inter Milan, they're going to probably be around about a minus 160 chance to win the competition, because, you've got that, they're plus 125 now for the price for Inter. Obviously, if Paris Saint-Germain go in, they're going to go a little bit bigger. They might be plus 150, 160. And obviously, if Arsenal go in, they'll be even more of an underdog. So it just shows you that whoever wins this tie tonight is going to be a clear favourite to win the Champions League. And whether you think that's right, whether you don't, we'll have to wait and see. But just looking at that Inter Milan side, how much belief have they got now going into these next matches? What they did, how they turned that tie around last night and over the two legs. They must be so confident. I mean, at this moment in time, if someone's, we've said it. One of the questions you raise on this show every time I'm on it, you say to me, if you're given a free $10 bet or $50 bet with Bet Rivers, what would you be? And most of the time I've answered you on this show when I've come on was Inter Milan at 25 and various different prices. And I think I've been on a few times and mentioned Inter Milan being the value. I think at plus 125, if you give me a free bet now, I'll bet Inter Milan. But the problem is that, I think the Paris Saint-Germain price is the one that, the faith that the market has in Paris Saint-Germain is the key to all this. And it's whether they can show their potential, or are they going to do what they've done many, many years in European club competitions and bottle it, essentially. And that's really the question you have. I mean, they're probably the best team in it on the eye. They're probably the most pleasant to watch. They're well drilled. They've got an excellent manager, but this is a tournament that has eluded them for many, many years, and there is a psychological thing they've got to overcome, and that is really factored. I don't actually think it's factored in the price. I don't think it's factored in the price. Whereas Inter Milan are a side that just seem to thrive on this underdog mentality. They can beat anybody. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be intriguing. But again, free bet Inter all the way.
Yeah, I think if it was PSG Inter final, I think we're looking at PSG being minus 180 to lift the trophy. Maybe
I thought about minus. I thought probably about minus 160, minus 170. And I thought if they played Arsenal would probably be about a minus 110 shot to beat them. That's how I thought. Minus 120. So yeah. Whoever Inter play will be the underdog. So that price at plus 125 will probably get bigger if they face Paris Saint-Germain, and probably contract a little bit if they played Arsenal. That would be my belief of it.
On to the second semi-final then. Massive game in Paris this evening. PSG against Arsenal. PSG do have a first leg advantage, 1-0. And I mean, they don't have to win the game, but there'll be still quite a lot of people out there backing them at plus 123 to win the second leg. The tie plus 255 now. Arsenal into plus 215 over 2.5 goals is the favourite, but it has been drifting a little bit over 2.5 goals. It's now minus 134 at the time of going live. I mean, it was a very intriguing first leg in North London. I mean, I've just seen, yesterday, today, Mikel Arteta bemoaned Arsenal's lack of timing for basically whether it's an excuse or an actual reason why they haven't won trophies in the enough trophies in the last few years. Can they get their timing right here? We know they've got to win the game. You said last week on the live show, rather than backing Arsenal to qualify, you'd just if you fancy them, just back them to win in 90 minutes plus 215. But in terms of the main markets here, this is always a bit tricky when the team ahead is at home and then the favourite again. Would you go anywhere near these main Asian lines?
Well, I meant to watch it. I watched it last week with some friends of mine who are Arsenal fans, and obviously, they always ask me questions about betting because that's what I do and ask the questions. And I thought immediately after the match, I thought Arsenal to qualify would be about plus 275. I thought there'd be about 11-4 plus 275 to qualify for this tie. I'm quite surprised that Arsenal are plus 210. So immediately after the match, I thought that Paris Saint-Germain gave Arsenal a footballing lesson at the Emirates. They got the early goal. Arsenal had their moments, couldn't score. And I believe that Arsenal had no chance in this match. That was my immediate reaction. But then as the tie goes on and you start reading things and you start buying into the information, watching press conference, you start suddenly believing the hype that Arsenal can actually go there and do something. And it's always that sort of hope that kills you, isn't it? And then Arsenal fans are out all over X and Twitter. They're going to have a huge following tonight. Now, from the evidence of what we saw in the first leg, Paris Saint-Germain at plus 123 are probably a very decent bet, given that their form is... Now, obviously, their league form has dropped off a cliff because we know they've won the title, and Arsenal as well. Of their league form is all their league form. Everything they've done in recent weeks is irrelevant. It's all about this evening and what you can turn into this game. The one thing I thought last week, I thought Arsenal had to get corners. They had to get set pieces. I think they only got 2 corners in the match, 3 corners. Really disappointing. The atmosphere at the Emirates was awful. It was a lull. It was like the place was stunned that we went 3-0 down. And now Paris Saint-Germain are in a position that they find themselves in as they're the favourites. They're a side that have to do everything. And will Arsenal thrive as the underdogs? And as we go into this match, I start believing that Arsenal have a chance, whether that's my son going on about Arsenal every minute a day, my friend telling me they're going to win, or I've suddenly just caught up in the belief that Arsenal have got something about them. Because for all intents and purposes, I should be betting Paris Saint-Germain at plus 123 on the evidence of what we saw in the first leg. The thing is here, for me, though, is I just got a feeling here that it's going to be cagey. And I sound like a broken record here again, but I mean, there's been a huge amount of money for under 2.5 goals. And I think a cagey match will suit Arsenal. It will really, really suit Arsenal. I think they're better to break on the attack. They're better to break from set pieces. And I think it's going to be quite a cagey kind of game here. So I haven't really got any opinion, if I was completely honest with you, on the way this match is going to go in terms of the match market, in terms of the qualification market, and in terms of the over and under market, because I think it's a match to sit back and just watch and just see how it evolves, because I don't think we really know how to play, because these are 2 sides who've never been in this position, this current Paris Saint-Germain side and this Arsenal side. And I don't think Paris will be able to cope with the fact that they're favourites here. I think it will suit Arsenal to be the underdogs. But at plus 123, that does look at an eye-catching price. Let me just tell you one other thing as well about the gambler mentality. The gambling mentality of whoever is the dog, whoever is trailing, the gambler wants to bet with that team or that person that's trailing. If you've got the World Snooker final the other day where the Chinese boy was so up against Mark Williams, if you're based in the UK or European, you watch the World Snooker, everybody wanted to bet Mark Williams to win 10-1, 8-1, 5-1. He won 3 frames and then the other guy won it. There is a belief that the team trailing that the bettor wants to get with, and they're always artificially low. So Arsenal, in fact, here are probably artificially low that any spreadsheet or any program or any database will tell you, whatever computer program will tell you, but the public want to get with the person or the team that is chasing. which always means that the team who've got the advantage are the big price. But then the people don't want to bet that team because they think, well, they don't need to win. They've got the draw. So that is the way that this market goes. And it's no surprise to me to see Arsenal being bet. It's no surprise to me to see under being bet because that suits the way Arsenal play. But honestly and truthfully, we are talking about the second biggest match apart from the final. Obviously, last night's match was a huge match. The equally second biggest match of the season so far. The prices can't be wrong. They're good in millions and millions of dollars. And I don't see any edge in the money line or the goals. I think there's edges on other markets that we're going to come on to props. So whatever you do, have a good, enjoy the match, have a bet, enjoy it, bet responsibly. But I would look at, I think Paris Saint-Germain, if the drift keeps coming for Paris Saint-Germain, I think they could become a bettable price, but I wouldn't do it.
I'll tell you what, the main markets, the bet I quite like is actually the first half under goal line, under 1.25 first half goals, minus 132. The biggest bit of team news, of course, heading into the game, Thomas Partey returns for Arsenal into the midfield. Probably means Marino steps out of the side. Yeah. Partey will
when you think he might play up front, Marino?
Well, he could, yeah, probably Marino or Trossard.
I think Trossard drops out. I don't think Trossard played. I think Trossard. I think Trossard. I think Marino play up front, and I think that because he's so good aerially, I think that Arsenal will need to get balls into the box. They need to get in amongst the Paris Saint-Germain side, and I think that I think it'll be Trossard that'll be dropped.
But I do get your point. I think you're right. I think as a tight game suits Arsenal. So I think if you offered them 0-0 halftime right now, they would certainly take it. They managed to achieve that in Madrid in the second leg there. Okay, we know they've got to go for it at some point here, but they don't. They can play the long game if needed. I do like that under 1.25 in the first half. If one goal scored exactly, you make a profit. I mean, a lot will be looking back at the two previous times PSG played Premier League opponents at home. Liverpool only had one shot on target here. Aston Villa only had 2 shots on target. They absolutely battered them. Both those teams' metrics. They somehow lost to Liverpool. Alisson had the best goalkeeping performance of the season.
Pressure, though. It's pressure, Steve, isn't it? I mean, we can look at all these kind of things to this stage, and we can look at all these kind of. This is a Champions League semi-final against, they're owned by the Qataris. They want to win they're desperate to win the Champions League. There's more desperate than anybody to win the Champions League, and the pressure these players, young manager is on to do it, and the crowd. I mean, they expect. And that comes with a certain amount of pressure. And Paris Saint-Germain over the years haven't been able to cope with that kind of pressure. They've had, if you look at the players they've had, Messi and Mbappe, they've had Neymar, they've had Ibrahimovic and players like top world-class players, and they've never brought it home. This is a much younger side, a much better drilled, no individuals, but loads of quality all over the pitch. But this is the biggest game of their life tonight. And I just, that's the pressure situation. Whereas I think that Arsenal will actually relish it. I mean, they went to the Bernabeu. No one gave them a hope at the Bernabeu. I know that, Real Madrid at that particular time, I know you and I thought Real Madrid were as good as Paris Saint-Germain, and they absolutely smashed them. So I just worry about Paris Saint-Germain's big game mentality. That's the big question mark of this. Undoubtedly, they are the best team in the competition. Undoubtedly, they have the best quality. Their fullbacks are the best fullbacks in the world. They've got goals. They've got everything that they have around them. They're managed superbly. A brilliant goalkeeper. But it's their big game mentality that we have to worry about. And that is why they are plus 123 to win this match.
Yeah, and maybe even last night's result might put even more pressure on, because I actually think both PSG and Arsenal will fancy taking on Inter. It's not easy, but I think the Barcelona side really does shake a lot of fear.
Do you know what? I think, Steve, every single one of these 3 teams remaining in the competition will fancy taking on anybody, because there's not much between anyone. Paris Saint-Germain are the best team in the competition, but they're gettable. They're beatable. And I'm going to come on to the reasons where they're beatable in a minute for my props. Don't worry about that.
We're looking forward to these props. The money line, just give you some stats here. On money line, 61% of the money is on PSG, 72% of the tickets. In the over-under market, 64% of the money is on the under, 65% of the tickets are on the over. So the more money is for that under, like we said. There has been that move for the under, certainly in the last hour or so. More the biggest pretty much wager. This was as of an hour or two ago. $10,000 on Arsenal plus a quarter of a goal on the Asian handicap, and also $6,000 nearly on Arsenal draw no bet. But there's loads of time still before the game, and I'm sure there'll be loads of significant bets. So, yeah, player props and stuff. Don't worry, we'll be talking about the referee at some stage. But, this is where there's a lot. I mean, you can bet on so many player prop markets.
I mean,
now.
Steve just said a message there. There's 650 markets available at Bet Rivers, and we only spoke about 2 markets. I haven't given you a bet on the match or the outcome. So there is 598 markets that we can go through. Don't worry, Steve. Calm yourself down, mate. We will have the bets coming for you in a minute. Just wait. Just bear with us.
Is that all? 598?
I think it's more than that. It's more than we're on till kickoff time. I've got to be on Betting Weekly Tennis Live at 6. Come on, Steve.
Okay, where should we start? Player props, shots on target, goal scorers, stuff like that. Nigel, where's your angles?
Right. Okay. My angles are on Arsenal players because I think Arsenal have to take the game to Paris Saint-Germain, and there's a lot of. So if we look at the shots on target. And I have to give credit to I actually did a little work on this, and I looked at it earlier in the day, and then I saw a tweet from one of our colleagues, Lewis Jones, who's I'm on the same page as Lewis Jones, and if I'm on the same page as Lewis Jones in this market, I'm not going too far wrong. And I think on big games like these, you need your big game players to turn up, and I expect a big game tonight from Declan Rice. I think Declan Rice is playing much, much, much more in an advanced role for Arsenal. They need to chase the game. He's going to be the driving force in that midfield. And I think tonight, Declan Rice, it's a huge, huge match for him personally. Odegaard is not having the best of times. I saw him in the press conference, Declan Rice. They were more or less saying to him he should be the captain of Arsenal, saying Odegaard, and he was very, very defensive about Odegaard. But I think tonight, Declan Rice, what he did he lifted the team against Real Madrid at home. And I think we need a Rice night tonight. So a lot of my props are involved in Declan Rice. Absolutely spot on what Lewis Jones said earlier. 28 involvements in goals in his last 53 Arsenal matches. So he's averaging a goal involvement every other match. And in the big games, he comes alive. So I think Declan Rice is a big, big player tonight. I don't know if you know this, but I think I've told you the story before. But I know Declan Rice's family very well. I grew up, they come up from in Kingston, where I grew up. And I used to go to school with his uncle. I knew his dad. I knew his sister. Very good friends of mine, his uncle was. And we went on a holiday. We played football together. We played in a Vets football team. And he showed me a video of Declan Rice. And Declan Rice was a striker. Declan Rice was a striker. He then went to be a central defender, and he then went to play in this holding midfield role. He's versatile. He can play in any role. And if Arsenal need a goal or anything, they will push him forward. So I think tonight Declan Rice is going to be a big player for them. So I like a lot of stuff on Declan Rice tonight. Shot on target for Declan Rice is plus 150 with Bet Rivers. 2 shots in the match. If you look at Declan Rice, he has averages about 4 shots a game. He has a lot of shots that go really, really wide and in the stands, but he's not afraid. And if Arsenal are chasing the match, Declan Rice will be involved. The other thing as well with Declan Rice is he takes corners, and we know how strong Arsenal are from corners. We know that this whole game plan today is to go to Paris, get amongst it, get a goal earlier, get set pieces and put the corners in. So Saka takes them from one side, Rice takes them from the other side. I think if Arsenal score, they will score from a corner. I'm going to come on to some corner stats in a minute. So a lot of my bets tonight concentrate on Declan Rice. Declan Rice have a shot, plus 150. That's on target. Declan Rice have 2 shots, just total, plus 118. Declan Rice have an assist, $6. And Declan Rice to have any time goal scorer is a huge price as well, which I can't read. You know why I can't read it? Because my mouse has run out of battery. So you're going to have to tell me, Steve. But he's a big price to score at any time as well. So I'm very, very heavily involved in Declan Rice tonight to have a good game. But I think the shots on target are the way to go. So a shot on target for Declan Rice is plus 150. So, and I quite like the assist at $6. So that is where my first prop is going to be. Rice, baby.
I hate it when my wireless mouse runs out of
battery. Mate, and I've got to bend over to like plug it in, and then it's going to be a nightmare. But it's absolute disaster. Happens quite a lot on these things.
It does. Without warning, I actually have a backup a wired mouse as a backup.
The worst is when the keyboard goes. When the keyboard goes, that's an absolute disaster.
It's a nightmare. I'll tell you a player prop I like for this game. I was looking at, someone actually mentioned it in chat. I think they're liking to be carded. Durian Timber at right back, I think he's pretty vulnerable today. He is minus 143 Bet Rivers to have over 1.5 fouls. I wish they offered more here. I wish I could ladder this with Bet Rivers, but they are only offering the 1.5 line with Timber. He's going to be up against the likes of Kvaratskhelia, possibly Doué could switch there, and they could even switch Dembele out there potentially. And I think they'll have the wood on Timber here. I really do.
Oh, here we go. Listen, Steve, come on. This is when Dan Roebuck says them gags.
Just I'm taking a leaf out of Dan's book there.
Anyway, just go. I like the gags. I like Timber as well. But Declan Rice, thanks very much for everyone to see, because we can't obviously. But my mouse has gone. But he's 6-1 to score, and he's 6-1 to score an assist. You've got to make the assist with them corner threat he does. The assist has got to be the play. Wasn't he? Didn't he assist and score the goals in the Bernabeu as well? He didn't score in the Bernabeu. He assisted a great ball through. But I think that Arsenal will go for it, and he is someone who will drive through. He will drive and take the game through. And I think I think tonight it's a big game for him, and he's a big game player. And all the stats in recent weeks suggest that he's much more further involved in his involvement in the game. And I think that getting 6-1 and stuff like that about him to score, because I do fancy Arsenal to score tonight. I think Arsenal will score tonight.
I mean, both teams to score is actually at minus 167 now. For some reason, I thought it was bigger, but yeah, I mean,
I don't fancy that, but I do think they'll score. I think Arsenal will get a goal. They should have scored at the Emirates, really. Then Donnarumma pulled off some brilliant saves. Raya pulled off some great saves as well. It could have been a lot more than the 1-0. After 3 minutes, you would expect this game to be a much bigger win. So I think that's I quite like that. But I do think.
Plus 600 to assist. Bet Rivers actually used. I don't think they're offering it for this match tonight, but they used to offer a market for a player to score and assist. Might be asking a lot of Rice that, but it would have been a big price, probably knocking on the door of 20-1, 16 or 20-1 probably. So we've talked about some players there. Is there anyone else in these shots markets that you quite like, Nigel?
Well, no, I'm concentrating on that. I've got some bets on other markets, and I think the shot market is like I look at. I think with Arsenal it's very hard because they don't have an out-and-out striker. And obviously, they don't have a player that, it's always good. We do with the Premier League show. It's always quite nice to put Isaac in at plus 118 to score any time, or Mamouche at plus 140. But Arsenal don't have that player. And I think in games like this, you need big moments from big players. So I expect Declan Rice to step up tonight. So a lot of my goal markets, a lot of my shot markets are all involving England and the Arsenal player here to get the goals. The market I like here, I do think that corners, and I mentioned it in the first leg, and it never really come through because Arsenal didn't really perform, but they've got to get in amongst this Paris Saint-Germain. Paris Saint-Germain has conceded 10 goals this season from set plays and corners. 32.3% of their goals they've conceded have come from corner kicks. So that is the way that Arsenal have to get at them. There is no doubt about it. Get corners. You're chasing the game. You've got to get the ball in the back of the box and get it. Arsenal averaged 6.63 corners per match this season, which is high. 6.63 corners is a high amount of corners. And the fact that they're chasing the game, I really like Arsenal to get the most corners this evening at minus 120. It isn't the kind of price that you would expect because they're the underdogs to win the match. And you would probably want it to be about, usually you'd think, they're probably plus 110 because the underdogs win. But I think that Paris Saint-Germain will like to soak up a lot of pressure, keep the ball, and just try to hit them on the counter attack. I don't see really, obviously they're going to, but I think everything is about Arsenal attacking here. They have to take the game to the French champions, and I like Arsenal here to get the most corners at minus 120. If we look at Arsenal this season, they've scored 11 goals direct from corners this season. That dropped massively when Saka was out. They only scored 2 goals from 63 corners when Saka wasn't playing for Arsenal. Now they've got Saka and Rice back in. I think Arsenal will bombard this side with corners. We know how strong they are from set pieces. They've won matches that they were never going to win in the Premier League, but they get a late corner or a free kick, and they get the ball into the box and score goals. They're a menace. And I think if they can get in amongst Paris Saint-Germain early, they didn't do it at the Emirates, but that is the way they can beat this Paris Saint-Germain side. We know they're vulnerable from corners. We know they're vulnerable from set pieces, and Arsenal have to have that game plan. And I think that it will be the big game plan for Arteta tonight to get in amongst them. So my next bet is Arsenal to get the most corners this evening at -120. And probably that is my best bet of the night. I really do. I mean, Paris Saint-Germain only average their matches this season only average 9.56 corners at home. And, you know, you've got to remember that they're like -$7, -$8, and they don't dominate corners. You know, sometimes in the Premier League, if Arsenal are playing a team like Leicester City or Southampton at home, Arsenal could get 13 corners on their own. They're not doing that. They keep the ball in midfield. They play patient football, hit them on the counter-attack, and it's all over 3 or 4-0. And I think it's all about Arsenal to attack here. So that is my best bet tonight. Arsenal's getting the most corners at -120.
Yeah, I mean, I got stung by the corners first leg as well. And one of the reasons for that was actually PSG. Just this constantly getting to the wide area, everything cutting inside or passing backwards. And, yeah, I mean, that's not a bad shout, to be honest. Arsenal do need to make the most of these set pieces today. There's been quite a few questions about the referee, and it is a German ref in the middle today. It's Felix Weyer. And this guy, to be fair, based on what we've seen on his performances in the middle in the Champions League matches, you've got to expect quite a few cards. He averages 5.67 cards per game in the Champions League this season. That's in 6 matches, so quite a hefty rate. He averages, over 4 cards in the Bundesliga. So, I think in the second leg, there was actually 4 cards in the first leg, I do believe. And Arsenal have had a history of maybe self-destructing a bit with discipline in big matches if they don't start to go their way. Card line's 4.5. I would go over for those who can access.
I think that's a great bet. I mean, if you look at his record in recent matches as well, not the last 9 matches he's refereed, only 2 of them would go under 4.5. 7 of them cashed over 4.5, and some of them, Freiburg against Dortmund is one of the ones that went under. You would expect Freiburg against Dortmund to go under. The other one was the game at the weekend, Leipzig against Bayern Munich, in a 3-3 draw, and an end of season kind of nothing match really. So I know Bayern Munich clinched the title, but they were going to clinch the title anyway. But it was a 3-3 draw, gave 4 bookings. The last 4 matches he's refereed in the Champions League or the Europa League, in every single one of them, he sent someone off. He sent a player off in the Olympiacos Bodo Glimt match. He sent someone off in the Benfica Barcelona match. He sent someone off in the Atalanta Club Bruges match, which you wouldn't expect to be a feisty match, but he gave 7 cards and 1 red. And he sent someone off in the Liverpool Lille match where he won. It was 4-1. And also sent someone off in the Milan Club Bruges match where he gave 7 yellows and 1 red. The other thing about him is he's done a 2-year, 5-month suspended sentence for taking a bribe. And he took 250 quid to throw the match. So
red card, yes, is plus 340.
Well,
in the game for those who are interested in that. And I have seen a bit of this ref in the middle, and I don't really like how he conducts himself. I think he's very haphazard, likes to dish cards like confetti when he feels like it, and he can lose control. And this is the sort of game where the players could lose control, let alone the ref. So I think that's got to be a bet for those who can access the market over 4.5 cards. The cards won't count after the final whistle. Someone was asking that question, and producer Troy answered the question as well. I mean, for individual cards, I think you could really take a look at anyone, really, because cards might be dished here, not just for tackles and stuff, but for what's said, protestations, stuff like that. Probably the managers will get carded.
Well, he did last night. Flick got carded last night, didn't he? And the thing is here is that this is a Champions League semi-final, and these are 2 sides that haven't been in this position. Well, particularly Arsenal. I mean, Paris Saint-Germain have never been in this position. They're favourites to win it. So it's everything. And I don't care. Things change in football matches. What you look at pre-match, look at data, look at stats, and things like that. But the incidents change football matches straight away. And you just got to look at this as a Champions League semi-final second leg, where if you win, you're going to be favourites to win the biggest prize in world football, club football. 4.5 cards. That's a bog standard Premier League match, isn't it? 4.5 cards.
Yeah.
And you've got
that'd be higher.
And you've got a referee that's given a red card out in his last 4 matches that he's refereed in Europa League and in Champions League. So I like that. That was me. So they were my bets. Heavily involved in the Rice in the props. Most corners Arsenal, and over 4.5 cards. So they were my angles in tonight. I'm hoping Arsenal win now, Steve. I know I know Lewis is on Paris Saint-Germain. I'm not on Paris Saint-Germain. We've bet, but I always like to see a British club in. I think it's always quite good to have a British club in. I know a lot of people are on Paris Saint-Germain, but I hope it's a good game. I just hope I'm a complete neutral tonight. I would love to see Arsenal go 1-0 up and have a real good go at it. I wouldn't like to see Paris Saint-Germain completely go 1-0 up, 2-0 up. But we saw what happened when they played Villa. I mean, they were 2-0 up and flying, and they were hanging on for dear life at the end. So they are beatable. They are beatable, but at home it's a different question. But I really want this to be a really, really exciting match. And if anybody's bet on Paris Saint-Germain, I wish them all the luck. I know Lewis is on him. I know he's come on this show and we spoke about it. But I like as a neutral here tonight, I'd like to see a really good game of football. And an Arsenal go early doors will be fantastic.
There's a house special. I forgot to mention this one. PSG to score in both halves and to win. Plus 275 for those who like that angle. If you really like PSG, that might be a good one to look at. I'm going to let you think about your best 2 bets for the game, Nigel, because I've got a quick mention here. Going a bit off script, there is a bit of Norwegian Cup action. And I've got a bet, actually. I've got a bet based on that.
I can't believe we've got 4 graphics on this. We've got 2 graphics on the biggest game of world football this evening. Just a graphic to get them through to the final, winning this play to the final. We've got 1 graphic to win the match in the colour, and now we've got this fantastic array of stuff on the NM Cup. And what is going on here?
Right, anyway, there's 2 really good storylines here. Right, the bet I'm advising is the Molde game. Molde minus 2.25 Asian handicap. They've named a really strong 11 here against 4th division opponents. I do believe Rana.
So this
FK.
is only 4th. This is 4th division. This is a whole graphic on 4th division Norwegian football.
This is the Norwegian Cup. This is the Norwegian Cup. This is the full. This isn't the Molde second team. This is their main team. But there's a really interesting storyline. The first match there.
Do you know what I'm doing out of protest? Look at this. Put the camera back on. You know what I'm doing? I'm taking this off because this is a Champions League show, right? If we're talking Norwegian 4th division football, the golden jacket does not come out for Norwegian 4th division football.
So what? I've got this is a really interesting one. That top match, Alta against Kristiansund, right? Alta. I did a bit of research today. I believe they are the most northerly semi-professional soccer club in the world. This is 500 miles north of Bodo. This is 200 miles north of Tromsø.
What are they going to get? Are they going to cover the spread?
I'm actually tempted to back them because this is so far north. They're plus 450 on their money line against Kristiansund, who are a top division side, but they have heavily rotated. I've seen.
How many Kristiansunds play for Kristiansund?
I don't think anyone right now.
That's the big question. We need
Alta, right? They're so far north, they actually have to play indoors. This match is played indoors in a dome, right in the north of Norway. And if
you're just tuning in, this is the Champions League semi-final show previewing Paris Saint-Germain against. This isn't the 5-a-side league that we're covering in the Norwegian, the most head release we've got to see.
But yeah, I know there's people out there who like to bet on quirky things. You could be betting on the most northerly semi-professional soccer team in the world. For those who might fancy Alta, but I do think that Molde handicap from what I saw.
We've had downhill skiing from Rory Girani. We've had sumo wrestling from Neil Channing on this show. And now we've got 4th division Norwegian sides playing indoors in a dome. Where else are you going to get this kind of entertainment?
I know.
Hit that subscribe button.
It's an incredible narrative. But anyway, I did ask your 2 best bets then for the Champions League match today, Nigel. What are you going to go with?
I'm joking aside. Now, have we got a bet on this Norwegian? Because I will be betting it. What's the
Molde minus 2.25 Asian handicap? That's got to be a bet.
And there was anything else you like? Or just
well, I keep my eye on that Alta match. I might just nibble on a bit of pizza money on like draw double chance because that is a really awkward trip, even in the day and age of flying and stuff like that. And they're going to be bang up for it in an indoor arena. Draw double chance on Alta is plus 165.
The jacket's come on back now because we're talking Champions League.
Maybe
Okay.
get some tickets.
I'm just going to go for them 3 bets. I mean, good luck. Whatever you decide to do on the money line, if you're going to play on the markets, good luck. If you're going to have a same game party, good luck. Hopefully, it's a good game of football. Hopefully, if it's a half of what we saw last night, it'd be a fantastic night. I think it's going to be very hard to live up to that. For me, Declan Rice shot on target plus 150. I'm going to give you 3 bets. Declan Rice shot on target plus 150 is one of my bets. Arsenal to get the most corners tonight at minus 120. The corner kings. It's the only way they can get at this Paris Saint-Germain side. I feel if they're going to a football match against them, they're going to get outplayed. But set pieces could win it for them. Minus 120, most corners. And finally, over 4.5 cards in the match from the referee, which is, I think it was minus 110, wasn't it? Minus 110 over 5?
Yeah, it is. It's right on the line of 4.5. I'll just find it before I go. But that will be, I mean, that of the 3 bets that I like, that's my best one. For those who can access the cards, over 4.5 match cards here inside 90 minutes. I do like Yuri and Timber over 1.5 fouls, minus 143. And on the main lines, that Asian first half total, under 1.25.
He does like to chop the old defenders down to the old Timber.
He certainly does. He certainly does that. And he's in for a tough night. He had 4 fouls in the first leg. Don't know what he is to be carded, but that might be worth looking at. But go on, let's have a prediction then. Who will Inter Milan be facing in the final?
I think they'll play Paris Saint-Germain in the final, but I think Arsenal will be very gallant losers tonight. I think they'll go out of a real big fight, and I think Paris Saint-Germain will edge it 2-1 tonight, but I think Arsenal will have their chances to win it. So I'm going to go Paris Saint-Germain into Milan.
Meninda asked me who's the best player for a PSG card. I'm going to say probably Fabian Ruiz if he starts, just because he might talk his way into the book. But I think PSG, they're known for being clean, but this is the sort of night where you've got to get the job done, which means that goes out the window. Players do desperate things and, game management things as well. Kiton now, good to see you, and he's worried about the Classico. You put that on X yesterday.
I posted last night, plus 275. You could have bet Real Madrid last night to win that El Clasico. You've got to remember, they've got to win it as well to keep their title hopes alive as well. Barcelona will be absolutely gone. I think they'll start about plus 180. I don't know what they are now, but I think they'll start about plus 180. They were plus 275 last night. So I thought the draw no bet market for Barcelona, Real Madrid last night was the way to go, really. But it didn't have so much dynamic on the tweet, did it? You got to go to win.
You are back on this channel in about an hour and 15 minutes time, Nigel. Betting Weekly Tennis Live. We've got 2 more shows after that. We've got a fired up bull in action again later as well with Doug Kazarian. Tell us what's still to come on this YouTube channel for the rest of the day.
Yeah, I'm on with Mitch Michaels looking ahead to the in-play betting. There'll be in-play betting at the Italian Open. I'll be over in Italy on the weekend. Sean Calvert is over there now. You can follow him at Because We Win, giving you some insights. Not really we're paying him the big bucks to go and give us some bets, but we're just looking at what he's eating. He's eating a lot of pasta and drinking a lot of Peroni Lager at the moment. That's what I can see. I'll be on there a bit later on, giving you some bets in play with Mitch Michaels, and then later on we have the baseball show with Doug and Adam, and after that we have the show on the basketball with Doug again, and Chris are looking ahead to tonight's big night of NBA action and MLB action as well. So everything you've got here is covered, and all I ask from anyone who enjoys these shows, I know I think there's 160 odd people coming into the show enjoy us, please hit that subscribe button. That's all we ask from you. All we want you to do is press that little button, hit that subscribe, join us here. It's very important to us. The quicker we can get to 10,000 subscribers, the better for all of us. It means more content, and we want to do that in the next couple of months. So your help can do that as well. So please hit the subscribe button. Enjoy the content. Make your comment. It's not only our show, it's your show as well. And good luck with anything you do tonight. Thanks for all the amazing comments. Keep them coming. Really enjoyed this show. Love coming on here with Steve. And I'm very happy this is one more time I need to wear this jacket.
Yeah, it's been great fun, Nigel. And I just wanted to reiterate the thanks for all the comments. And as always on the Champions League show, not been able to go through even half of them because there's been so many. But we do appreciate, I'm reading all of them. And, there's so much interest in these in this match tonight. and a lot of excitement. So best of luck, whatever you are taking. Nigel, enjoy the Betting Weekly tennis later.
Thanks,
and I will see you tomorrow on Betting Weekly Live with James Eastham. We've got some really crunch games, including that match in the Arctic Circle, Bodo Glimt versus Spurs. Come on, Bodo. I think Bodo are going to win that game, Nigel. Maybe turn it around. But we'll see you tomorrow on Betting Weekly Live. Remember to gamble responsibly and take care. See you.